Thanks for staying tuned to the African Voice, the Africa Independent Television, and welcome to your weekly security and safety tonic on television, Security Watch Africa. On this program and on this channel, we give you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Welcome to the program today. My name still remains Patrick Abambo. So many things to be discussed, so no time for discussions as such. But quickly, a lot of things happened during the week that attracts our attention and comment. One of such is that in responding to the Russian-Korean crisis, so a lot of people have called it so many things, war, and some have called it invasion. Some Nigerians have gone to the Ukrainian embassy requesting to join to fight against the Russian. And the Russian embassy have also come out to say, yes, we can receive you, but you have to pay $1,000 before you can even we can have discussions with you. And you must have military experience in Nigeria for some years and all that. Really, one begins to wonder why Nigerians would want to go and fight in another country for another country, whereas we have several wars going on in Nigeria here, in the northeast, in the northwest, several parts of the country. How many of these Nigerians have indicated interest to support? This begs for a lot of answers, really. But I think that we must be patriotic because we have no other country to call our country. Most Nigerians that were trapped in Ukraine, it took Nigeria to be able to bring them back safely to their home. So we must see the benefits of having a home. And so you must love your home, importantly. And talking about loving your homes, and I want to say kudos to our personnel of the armed forces, the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Air Force. They are doing wonderful jobs. The Global Terrorism Index that came out was released recently, even though some have questioned it, but I believe that is the true reflection of what is happening. That in the year 2021 up till this time, the insurgency and the terrorism activities have reduced drastically because our security forces have upped their games and doing marvelously well. Internally, you can see on your screen there how recently happened. Some call it so many things, the baptism of fire in Niger State against the bandits that were disturbing people. Over 200 bandits were eliminated in the last few days, and that is kudos to the Nigerian Air Force and Nigerian Army for doing a great job. And what is very interesting is that this operation and so many other operations are environmental friendly, really, because the vegetation around were not disturbed, but these bad people were taken off. So we must say kudos to the Nigerian armed forces and Nigerians that are providing the intelligence for them to work. That will bring me to our first report, because one of the things that is important is that Nigerian Army particularly, and which I believe other security agencies in Nigeria is gearing up to ensure that there is proper seamless coordination of their operations across the Federation. The Nigerian Army, previously under the leadership of Lieutenant General T.Y. Buratai, did set up an operations center. The current Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General FARUK YAHAYA, improved massively on that, and it was commissioned recently. Security Watch Africa, SHULLY brings you the report of the commissioning.
In the display of a keen leadership character lacking in Nigeria, the Chief of Army Staff, Nigerian Army, Lieutenant General FARUK YAHAYA, has consistently continued with policies, programs, and projects of his predecessors, which is in line with his vision and mission for the Nigerian Army. One of those policies and projects is the Nigerian Army Operations Center, which was conceptualized and commissioned by the former Chief of Army Staff, now Ambassador Plenipotentiary of Nigeria to the Republic of Benin, Ambassador Tukur Yusuf Buratai, a retired Lieutenant General. This center, which has undergone improvement in design, content, and reach, was commissioned at the Nigerian Army headquarters in Abuja. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General FARUK YAHAYA, at the commissioning ceremony, spoke more on the project.
It's about 3-in-1 It can serve as a command center, situation room, and also briefing. As we speak, sir, we conduct our weekly Monday briefs here, where we are in tune, talking directly to all the general officers commanding, all of them, and to the theater and all the sectors, and we are even adding on headquarters, the one in Lokoja, Command Army Record, given the situation in that area and what we also want to be every time in touch with them. I believe for the next 1 week or two, they will also join up. So every week, the Chief of Army Staff can talk directly to all the general officers commanding and to all the sectors in the theater.
The special guest of honor at the commissioning, Ambassador T.Y. Buratai, praised the Chief of Army Staff for improving on the project.
This operation center for the benefit of humanity, our officers and soldiers. So help us God.
It's quite nostalgic to be here, to see this great edifice being completed, made much better than the initial concept. To see the work that has been put into place and the configuration of the center. It's much befitting and in a highly professional setting. Well, I want to commend the Chief of Army Staff for completing the project and modeling it to this standard.
Earlier in his welcome address, the Chief of Operations Army, Major General OLUFEMI AKINJOBI, spoke on the essence of the center.
The idea of having a befitting operations center for the Nigerian Army was conceived by His Excellency Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, retired, the Nigerian ambassador to the Benin Republic, at the twilight of his tenure as the Chief of Army Staff. The intention was to have an appropriate facility that could provide the Army headquarters with real-time situational awareness on all operational activities across the theaters where our troops are deployed. This was necessitated by the growing involvement of the Nigerian Army in a plethora of operations across the country and the need to have greater situational awareness so as to better influence them. The center is therefore one of the numerous legacy and enduring projects initiated by His Excellency Lieutenant General T.Y. Buratai all across the Nigerian Army. On assumption of office, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General FARUK YAHAYA, aptly prioritized the completion of the project. This was in realization of the growing importance of technology to military operations and the need to adequately leverage same to improve the operational picture of Army headquarters vis-a-vis ongoing operations. In this state, further improvements were made to the facilities being installed and the main hall was appropriately remodeled for optimal display, interactions, and utilization. The center has state-of-the-art facilities that enables it to serve the threefold functions of a command center, a situation room, and an operations briefing facility. It affords the Army headquarters the enhanced reach and ability to quickly intervene, direct, and influence ongoing operations. From the center, the Army headquarters will have a common operational picture with commanders in the field. More importantly, the facility is scalable and can therefore accommodate further add-ons as the Nigerian Army continues to embrace the technologies of the times with a view to better performing our constitutional roles in line with the Chief of Army Staff's vision of a professional Nigerian Army ready to accomplish assigned missions within a joint environment in defense of Nigeria.
It is obvious that with the center being put to use, the Nigerian Army is now more than ever before poised to help in tackling the myriads of insecurity confronting Nigeria. SHULLY reporting for Security Watch Africa.
Welcome back. Yes, this is kudos to all those who work to ensure that this is done, and it's a very big achievement for the Nigerian Army and Nigerian government for that. Yes, let's quickly go to another arm of the security of Nigeria, which is the Nigerian Police Force. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Usman Akalibaba, is geared towards ensuring that police gets better at all times, particularly is non-tolerance in abuse or harassment of the citizens. During the week, he had his monthly meeting with his strategic managers to brainstorm on the way forward preparatory to the 2023 election. Sit back as we bring you this report put together by Peggy AGBEH.
Strategizing on ways to tackle insecurity is an approach which should be imbibed in the security of any nation or state. Insecurity, which is worrisome, is fast becoming a trend which needs immediate action. Otherwise, the safety of citizens becomes an impossible task, as most perpetrators often target security officials so they can carry out crimes easily. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Usman Akalibaba, in company with police management team, held the monthly review and strategic planning conference with Assistant Inspectors General of Police and Commissioners of Police from across the Federation in Abuja, the nation's capital. The conference offered the IGP the opportunity to reel out some of the major achievements recorded by the Nigeria Police Force in the last 2 months.
It is with deep sense of professional fulfillment that I wish to note that the operation has recorded massive successes in achieving its goal. As a result, aside from the destruction of all the camps and other assets of the bandits in the above-mentioned criminal enclaves, a total of 38 suspected bandits and terror elements were arrested, while the following items were recovered: 32 AK-47 rifles, 1 rocket propelled grenade launcher, 1,412 7.62 mm live ammunition, 1,200 rounds of live ammunition of AN, 1 locally fabricated revolver pistol, 3 motor vehicles and 2 motorcycles, 10 cartons of pentapozine PV, 30 injections, cash sum of 800,000, and 3 pairs of army camouflage uniform. On a general note, between January 2022 to date, collected crime statistics revealed that 36 terror elements, 78 murder suspects, 110 armed robbery suspects, 50 kidnappers, and 150 captives were arrested during various police operations across the county. Aside these, 204 kidnapped victims were successfully rescued, while 155 firearms of various descriptions and 1,561 live ammunition were also recovered.
While commending his officers and men for the achievements recorded, he sternly warned against illegal roadblocks and stop and search.
In consequence of this progress we have made, I wish to utilize this opportunity to commend you and your officers and men for your loyalty, patriotism, and renewed vigor in the task of guaranteeing peace, security, and safety of our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, much as significant progress is being recorded, we must admit that we are not yet close to achieving our national security goal of restoring an internal security order that is enduring enough to fully assure the citizens and restore optimal confidence in the police force. Indeed, there are still areas of grave concern as well as developments that will undoubtedly test our strategic leadership capacity as the year unfolds. One of such concern is the conduct and attitude of our men, especially police officers on the field. I have continually been inundated by complaints of excesses in the conduct of our men on patrol or on stop and search duties. And I have personally had the cause to drive around in the course of which I witnessed some of these illegalities, particularly in relation to roadblock and stop and search. I want to re-emphasize that while stop and search strategy will occasionally be an invaluable anti-crime tactic, such should not be done without requisite approval and must not be a permanent strategy. It must equally be conducted with excellent police protocols, which emphasizes civility to members of the public and must be licensed with the highest level of professional decorum. Such must not also be turned into an avenue of extortion. Consequently, as strategic leaders, you could be held liable for any violation of this force policy. You are therefore strongly advised to go back to your commands, review this development, and ensure that your operations conform strictly to the visions of my leadership.
Responding to a question raised on pension for retired police officers, the #1 policeman in Nigeria disclosed that the police leadership and government is working on an improved package. These will gladden the heart of both serving and retired officers. Peggy AGBEH, Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Thanks for tuning into your program, Security Watch Africa. Yes, we're still on the program. My name still remains Patrick Abambu. There are our social media platforms on the screen that you can utilize to send us information or send questions you want a follow-up to be done so that we can cross-check with those responsible and get you answers for them. Yes, just last week, 2 weeks ago, we started an interview we had with the Director of Public Relations and Information of the Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore GABKWET. Sit back as we continue with that interview.
Or sometime in the future.
Does the Air Force think, has it thought of, and is it deploying the unmanned vehicle equipment, what people generally call the drones and all that? Because some would say the sounds of these jets sometimes makes the enemy to know that you are approaching and all that. What is the policy of the Air Force in the usage of drones?
Yeah, we are open to utilizing all forms of modern technology, to decimate the enemy. So we are open to the use of whether it's drones, whether it's rockets, whether it's machines. We are open to all options available, and I know that with the options we have available, it's just a matter of time before we see a semblance of peace in our environment. I think this year promises to be hopeful for all Nigerians and for everybody. All we just request, as always, is for Nigerians to continue to be very patient with the Air Force and, of course, the armed forces, and continue to support us and continue to work with us, give that information that we feel or you feel can help us detect or locate the enemy, of course, bring them to justice. So when we put our acts together, begin to work together, then I think there's going to be a lot of hope. Yes.
Does this pose a challenge to the Air Force when they want to go on operation? Because I know that in some of these forests, you have some communities along the line, and the line of where these bandits or terrorists move around and all that. And I know that the Air Force under Mashama do not want to get any innocent Nigerian in the line of battle. But does it pose a challenge, or is there any way to actually isolate these people and get this thing done?
Yeah, we have been carrying out strikes in forests in the northwest of recent, of course, even in the northeast. You don't go about blindly bombing places. Of course, intelligence is a very critical factor in most of the things we do. So definitely you don't want to strike areas and then you hear that you accidentally killed innocent people here and there. We are not happy when such things happen. That's why we make sure that we get credible intelligence. And it's not a decision you just take in a day or two. You gather them, you analyze them, and you make sure that they're very credible before, of course, you get to strike some of these places. You know, and I've heard several times some people that have escaped from some of these bandits or terrorists saying things like, in fact, it is the Nigerian Air Force aircrafts overhead that made the criminals release them and all of that. So, you know, it's not as if we don't know that some of these captives are being held by these criminals, you know. But make sure that before you even strike, you know, you are striking at the heart of the enemy himself, which is foot soldiers. And that's why for quite a while now, I can say we've been having very clean bombings, clean strikes that tends to decimate not just the leadership of these terrorists, but of course their followers too.
Okay. I know the year gone has been very eventful. Successes, because the number of successful strikes is quite enormous, and we can confidently say we are proud of what the Air Force has done, but we also notice that there have been some challenges in terms of one or two crash that happened. In one of the instances, I saw the chief of staff instead of sharing tears, feeling so terrible and all that, and you were so distorted and all that. But how was the Air Force able to bounce back and get stronger after all these challenges?
Yeah, that's why I said last year was quite eventful, and so many things happened. And of course, you mentioned some of the unfortunate incidents that occurred. Very painful, and let me say all of them, very, very painful. But I think what gives a nation strength is when you are able to recover from unfortunate incidents and you forge ahead. Those kind of mishaps or drawbacks should only make you stronger. And that is what the Chief of Air Staff has been able to pass on. That's the message he has been continuing to carry along wherever he goes, whenever he talks to our troops in the battlefront. You know, that every unfortunate situation should serve as a lesson that we should guard against for future operations. You know, and yeah, I think it has worked. You know, we have also taken measures. You know, the auditing of all our operational units, which the chief authorized, and we have seen an openness in the investigations of those accidents. You may recall that the Accident Investigation Bureau came some time back and submitted a report, you know, which we made very, very public. You know, so that openness and that confidence that the chief has continued to pass along to our operational staff has also worked. One of the pilots that was able to even survive one of the crash and even escaped, you know, through his sheer doggedness and his you know, the kind of training he has received over time has in itself been a morale booster, you know, for us to continue to push ahead. You don't let your setbacks or drawbacks to discourage you. Rather, they should motivate you, you know, to even put in your very best. And that is basically what we are seeing.
Okay. Yeah, I know that you are busy, but looking at everything, there's so many issues to talk about. But one of the things which you mentioned at the beginning is you may have this equipment, and if the men are not in tune or made to handle them properly by motivation and all that, they won't. What is the motivational level of the officers of the Nigerian Air Force, both the airmen and everybody? are they really willing to give their all under the leadership of Marshal Mao?
Well, if I'm to use the terms we use in the military, I would tell that the morale is very high, and we are very happy with the Nigerian Air Force leadership and how Marshal Mao has been able to carry everybody along, giving everybody that sense of belonging and making sure that our personnel are being provided with all that they require to function effectively, especially those of our personnel that are in the northeast, northwest, or all of our operational areas. You know, and that is just the magic one. Once welfare, morale is being provided, you see people working. You don't need to push anybody to work. And I must be very, very sincere with you. A lot has happened in the last 12 months. A lot. So much, you know, in terms of training. Training itself it gives you a morale. When you are trained, properly trained to function effectively, it's a source of morale. When the best schools are being provided for your children to attend, it's a morale factor.
Come back for time. We'll not be able to conclude this interview, but very, very educative and informative interview there. So many issues were touched, and more will still come. Because of time, we have to continue. As we're running up, we want to send this congratulatory message to Mr. Mukaila Elams. We say happy birthday and many more years to you. This is coming from your own Go on Elams with us here in the studio. It's really our pleasure presenting this program to you. Thanks. If you did enjoy, join us again next week. Before then, try to visit our Facebook page or the YouTube to watch previous editions of this program. Until we come away again next week, I will say bye for now and remain blessed.